Houston is home to some of the best Tex-Mex in the world, and today we're here settling the ultimate debate: Ninfas versus El Tiempo. Let's go inside and see which one has the best fajitas the city has to offer. Bienvenidos to the original Ninfas, home of the fajita. In 1973, Mama Ninfa Lorenzo created tacos al carbon, revolutionizing Tex-Mex. And though she passed in 2001, her legacy lives on, blending tradition and culinary innovation. Hey guys, we just got seated here at Ninfas on Navigation. We are actually seated in the garden. This is such a beautiful little terrace. It looks like it used to be a patio that they maybe converted into some additional indoor-outdoor dining. They immediately sat down, warm chips, and 2 different kinds of salsa. I love that they have a creamy green salsa and what looks to be a fire-roasted salsa. So let's dig in. These are warm, thick-cut corn tortilla chips. These look fantastic. Just kind of peppered everything around me. Yeah, that is so good. I feel like I could drink that. Now for this salsa, it is a little bit thinner consistency. It does appear to be fire roasted because there is some like little black flakes in there from the fire roasted skin on the tomatoes. Oh yeah. I can definitely taste that fire roasted flavor. That also has a really nice kick to it. I'm gonna dive into this margarita. This is the Ninfas on Navigation margarita, I believe is what they called it. It's on the rocks. I asked for tahini. I asked for tahini. Let's give this a shot. Ooh, that is strong. They're not playing around with the tequila here. That is a silver tequila. That is absolutely delicious. I think I'm gonna throw back a couple of those. That is so good. That was awesome. Okay, we're gonna dive into this queso. Full transparency here, we're doing a lot of social media stuff, so it did sit for a minute, but it still has really great consistency. So for those of you who don't know, queso is definitely a Tex-Mex thing. This is liquid gold. This is a cheese sauce filled with pico de gallo. So you've got some cilantro, tomato, onions, some nice lime flavor in there as well. This is not like a queso flameado, so whenever I say queso, this is what I'm thinking of, not that flaming, stringy cheese, which is delicious, but that's not what I'm going for. I do love that they bring out different chips for their queso. These are actually fried flour tortillas, so you can just see in the snap and the way it breaks versus the corn tortilla. This is gonna have some more crunch and flavor here. All right. Yeah, that queso is fire. It is so thick, like not thick like it's too cold, but it has a really great consistency, like it's not super watery. It coated the chip excellent. It has such a rich, creamy mouthfeel. This is so good. I love all the crunch, not only from the flour tortillas, but also from the nice little like veggies that they have in there. This is a solid queso. Okay guys, so did you know that Ninfas is actually the OG of fajitas? It's rumored that they actually brought fajitas, or at least the term, over to the United States. So Mama Ninfa is kind of like the OG whenever it comes to Mexican food. I'm sure you saw the fajitas just come out sizzling. You could actually hear them before you saw them here at the table. It was definitely impressive. The smell is absolutely incredible. I can smell a really nice mesquite char coming off of the fajita and the chicken fajita as well. There's a really nice amount of caramelized onions underneath. They did bring out a combination of their homemade flour tortillas and corn tortillas. Additionally, they brought out a side of charro beans and refried beans for us to try, so we can kind of get a little bit of everything here. I'm going straight up on the steak here first. So I have a nice little piece here. My mouth is watering. This looks so freaking good. Oh man. Okay, I can't stand it any longer. Oh. That was so juicy and so incredibly tender. Oh my God. The meaty, charred flavor coming off of that steak is insane. Normally fajitas are kind of like chewy sometimes. These are so tender. They're so freaking good. I'm usually not a fan of chicken whenever I go in for fajitas. I'm an all beef kind of girl, but I do know that some people really prefer chicken fajita. This looks like a chicken breast, which in my opinion, 99% of the time ends up being dry and almost like, I don't know, like a dried sponge. But we're gonna go ahead and give this a shot and give you my honest feedback. This does look pretty good and juicy though. You see that? Get a little drip, drip. Oh, yeah, baby. All right, straight to the head. Wow. That chicken is insanely good. I never thought in a million years that I would be down with chicken fajita, especially chicken breast. I normally tend to gravitate towards like chicken thigh. That was so juicy and so tender. It had a great charred flavor as well without it being dry. It was so juicy. Oh my God. Okay, let's try all of the accoutrements and then I'm gonna build like a massive burrito and we're gonna give everything a taste all in one go. Ooh, that tequila is still strong. So good though, definitely not overpowering. It's a nice balance, but it's definitely tequila forward, so you don't have to worry about them skimping on the alcohol here. Now let's dive in to the side dishes. They brought out two separate sides of beans. We've got refried over here and charo over here, but the Spanish rice is the same. So I'm gonna dive into these refried beans here. Really nice refried consistency. It looks like it's thick. It's sticking to my fork. It's not falling off. Kind of like the Dairy Queen Blizzard test. All right. That is really great flavor. It's blended up nicely. You can still taste some of the skin, I guess you can call it, on the beans. A really nice textural balance there. Those are a solid refried. I tend to gravitate more towards charo beans, so let's go ahead and give these a shot. There is a lot of chunky veggies in here. It looks like there's some jalapeno peppers, some tomatoes, some onion, and then the pinto beans. It is sitting in really nice broth. This is normally like a chicken stock based broth. Let's go in for a taste. Those reign supreme. I love charo beans. These are so good. There's a really nice savory flavor going on there. The beans have a nice snap to them, like the outside, but they're still really soft. Like I could literally press the bean up against the roof of my mouth and it would just dissolve. This has such great flavor. I am gonna try the rice straight up on its own, but to be completely honest, I love taking some of this reserved like bean juice and pouring it all over the rice, but for camera purposes, let's go ahead and give this a shot. They do put some red skin potatoes in here and some slices of carrots, which I do think is unique. Yeah, there's really nice flavor. There's really great seasoning in there. You can definitely taste the salt, some chili powder, a little bit of cumin, some smoky flavor in there as well. But I can't wait. I am gonna do my like normal. It's so good. It's so good. Drizzle the beans over the rice. Eat it like that. You won't regret it, I promise. Now it's burrito fixin' time. We're gonna go in on the, what do you think? Corn? Flour?
Flour.
Flour? Let's go for the flour. Once again, these are homemade. You can tell here by the tortilla press that they used. It is actually kind of see-through. I don't know if you can see like my hand kind of peeking through. These are thin, but they do have like a nice kind of pliable texture to them. All right, I'm gonna go in with some beef, some chicken. Gotta go in on some of these caramelized onions here. Oh my God. They did bring out some guacamole, sour cream, and pico de gallo. I love that those are already included in the package. It's not something that I had to order additionally. So we're gonna put some guac on there, but I really like guac, so I'm gonna load it up. Okay, cool. Sour cream. Awesome. Get some of this fresh pico de gallo. Tomato, onion, cilantro, and jalapeno. That is mostly jalapeno, so that is gonna light me up. Kind of a wimp when it comes to spice. I like it, but I can't handle too much. But I've still got some of my margarita. Then I'm also gonna add in some rice. And I'm gonna go in with the refried beans just because I think this is gonna be easier and not as messy. Chipotle ain't got nothing on me, boys. Give it a good little like smash and roll. Get a good amount of everything in one bite. Cheers. I'm gonna choke. That's a big bite. Oh wow, I am so full, but we have another place to go to. But I did want to add just a little insider tip. If there's ever a game like Astros, Rockets, or even a big name concert, you can park here for free. Just hop inside, go grab a margarita, maybe an appetizer, and they have a shuttle that runs every 15 minutes to and from the game, and it drops you right off at the front gate. That is such a great hack. All right, next up is El Tiempo. El Tiempo was founded by Roland Lorenzo, Mama Ninfa's son, after the family lost control due to Ninfa's rapid expansion that led to bankruptcy. Roland started El Tiempo as a way to continue his mother's legacy. Fans of Tex-Mex in Houston often compare the two and feel compelled to pick a side. All right, guys, we are here at Lorenzo's El Tiempo Cantina, just a stone's throw away from Ninfas on Navigation, and I'm talking literally right across the street from one another. We're here to check out their margaritas, chips and salsa, queso, and of course the fajitas. Let's run inside and check out what they have to offer us. We just got seated here at Lorenzo's El Tiempo, just right across the street from Ninfas on Navigation. We were greeted with chips and salsa. We also have a couple of margaritas here, so let's dive on in and see how they stand up. All right, we are gonna go in on their chips. These are not warm. These are actually kind of cold, but they are a thinner style cantina chip. We are going to dive on into the green salsa. It looks very similar to Ninfa's. This is a thicker salsa. It's also creamier, so let's go on in. That is almost identical in flavor, texture, everything. I will say this has a bit more heat on it in terms of spice flavor, or spice level rather. Let's go in for the red salsa. This also looks like it has some of that fire roasted tomato skin on top. It does have a bit of a thinner consistency, very similar if not identical to Ninfa's. Let's give it a try. This one is warmer though, and not only in terms of spice level, but also in terms of they actually heated up the salsa itself. So it is a warm salsa and not like a cold salsa. But in terms of flavor and fire roast level, it's all pretty much the same. I will say that, you know what, never mind. I'm gonna reserve all of my judgment till the end whenever we give you our scorecards. Let's go in on the margaritas. So just like at Ninfa's, I got their standard house margarita on the rocks with the tahini rim. I will say the tahini game is looking kind of weak over here, but it's all about the flavor, so let's give this a shot. It's definitely not as alcohol forward as Ninfa's. This definitely tastes more like a pre-batch, kind of like pre-made margarita mix with some tequila thrown into it. It's not bad, but I can't say that I necessarily favor this one. We just got started. Everything just kind of came out all at one time. I will say that we were doing our foodie stuff, so the queso has been sitting here for just a moment, but I will say that it is still nice and hot and has a really good consistency. You can see the steam coming off of that. Also, something to note here is that the queso came out in a metal bowl, and this is really great at conducting heat and keeping the queso nice and warm. It also came out with some of the homemade flour tortilla chips. These look like they have a really nice snap to them. Let's go ahead and give this a dunk and a try. Yeah, that's a good queso. Pretty much identical. That was a solid queso. I will say it was almost identical to the queso that we had over at Ninfa's. However, Ninfa's had a bit more acidity coming from that lime and a bit more herbaceousness coming from the cilantro. This is still a solid queso. I will say that the acidity was a welcome bite just to kind of break up some of the richness, but that's still a really great option. Let's dive into these fajitas while they are still sizzling. All right. We are going to dive in on this beef fajita. So it is still smoking hot. Looks delicious. But it's not about the looks, it's all about how it tastes. Oh, that was surprisingly tender and juicy because it did not look as juicy off of the first bite. So now I want to taste some of this beef dipped into, it kind of looks like it might be, oh yeah, baby, that's butter. Everything's butter with butter, and I love me some butter with my fajitas. All right, let's go on in on this. Give it a good dunkaroo. Oh yeah, I'm gonna burn my mouth. It's gonna be worth it, hopefully. That's like a lime butter. Now it's time for some of this chicken, and I've already given you my opinion on chicken fajita. However, these are looking pretty juicy, so let's go on in for a big old bite here. Oh man, those are really good. Both of those, the chicken and beef fajita, were absolutely delicious. I will say there were subtle nuances that were slightly different than Ninfa. So first up, the beef. I noticed that there was a lot more char coming from the fajitas over at Ninfas. However, this has more of a marination flavor to it. I'm not exactly certain, and I can't quite pinpoint the exact flavor differentiation on the marination, but I will say that this was much more tender. That's still hot. This was much more tender and almost kind of juicier than over at Ninfas. Now, as far as the chicken goes, this was still super tender, really delectable. It almost kind of fell apart in my mouth. Both of them were really good. I think it just depends on what you are kind of craving. Are you craving like the char, flame grilled meat, or are you craving more of like that tender marinated beef flavor? Ninfas kind of lets the beef speak for itself, whereas over here they have a marination process. It's very obvious, and that is what you can sort of accredit that tender beef to. Both places have out of this world chicken. You can definitely tell that the chicken has some kind of like a lime butter, and it might actually be this lime butter, which was absolutely delectable and totally ruined my taste buds. I did not think that the butter was going to be molten level whenever I dipped the beef into it. However, once again, if you notice, they have these middle bowls, so that keeps all of your meat and sauces incredibly hot. So let's go into some of the side dishes before I build up a burrito. My taste buds are hooked. This comes out with the Spanish rice, your choice of beans. We did order an extra side of refried just to kind of keep it similar to our previous meal that we had over at Ninfas. We're gonna dive into the refried beans first. Consistency, once again, is pretty similar. They are a very thick refried bean. Let's go on in. Make sure I don't burn the out of my mouth. Those are good.
Better?
Those are, I want to reserve my judgment till the end, but I am much more impressed by those than I was at the other location. I don't want to give too much away. Those are really good.
Damn.
My mouth is like watering, and I really want to go back in for more refried beans. No. We're going to go in on the charro bean now. These, once again, look very similar. There's lots of chunky veggies in here. So we've got our pinto beans. It looks like there's some meat in there as well. Look. There might be like some bacon, maybe some tasso ham or some sausage. You've got your veggies, like your tomatoes, onions, and some jalapenos. Let's go in on these charro beans. Those are freaking good. They have a really nice broth to them. I will say that broth is a bit thicker as well. Maybe the beans have had more time to kind of like break down and thicken up that stock. They definitely have more spice to them. It kind of crept up, hit me in the back of my throat. All right, now for the Spanish rice. So this doesn't look like it has the carrots and large potatoes inside, but it does have a good amount of what appears to be maybe some, yeah, that's definitely like green pepper, some tomatoes, and some carrots in there with some well-seasoned rice. Let's give it a go. That's a very like traditional Spanish rice. It has really great flavor. The spices definitely come out. You can taste that it was cooked in chicken stock. It's got a really nice season to it. Definitely some garlic, salt, onion powder, a little bit of cumin, maybe just a touch of chili powder. That's really, really good. All right, it is burrito making time. We've got our flour tortilla here. Gonna load it up with some chicken, some of this beef, and you know we gotta get in on these caramelized onions. Ooh, baby. All right, I definitely want to go in on some of this butter. Maybe I'm going to put some rice on top so that it could absorb some of that butter.
Don't forget the queso.
And I don't know, oh yeah, the queso. And I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but that is like a lime butter. All right, I'm going to kind of double dip, don't care. You're coming home with me, right? Just kidding.
Did you just lick that spoon?
I did, and I feel like you liked it. Okay,
Not bad.
got some of the butter on there. We're gonna put some refried beans. Okay, and then they did give us some of the sides here. So we've got some shredded cheese, sour cream, and pico de gallo. No guacamole like the last place, but that's okay. I don't feel like we're missing out on anything. Oops, kind of making a mess here. And then the queso. Did we put queso on the last one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, it's a little bit cold now, but that is okay. That has never stopped us from tearing up some food. All right, give it a little like smash and roll. Once again, Chipotle ain't got nothing on me. All right, not ladylike bite. Let's go on in. Cheers. Oh yeah. That burrito was insane. The beef was so incredibly tender. The tortilla was so fluffy. It was almost cloud-like. It did such an amazing job of holding all of those components of the burrito together, still while giving way to your teeth to just rip it to shreds. This was incredible. I am so happy we did this. I'll give you our final score once we wrap everything up and get it to go outside. There you have it, folks. We checked out Ninfas on Navigation and El Tiempo. We tried out the best margaritas, chips and salsa, queso, and of course the fajitas. But who is gonna be reign champion of this battle of the best Tex-Mex here in Houston? Will it be Ninfas or will it be El Tiempo? Let's take it to the scoreboard and sort things out. Each restaurant was rated on a scale of 10 for quality, taste, and price. For margaritas, I have to give it to Ninfas. The dressed rim was impeccable, and you gotta love a boozy margarita. Chips and salsa were pretty much identical. There's just some subtle nuances with warm chips versus warm salsa. Queso definitely goes to Ninfas. I think the ratio of pico de gallo to queso was exceptional. Now for the fajitas, they were definitely more flavorful and more tender at El Tiempo. We spent $103.94 at Ninfas after tax and tip, and only $98.73 for the exact same items at El Tiempo. But ultimately, Ninfas clinched the win by a squeeze of a lime. If you love this showdown, don't forget to like and follow for more All Things Houston. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think other restaurants should go head-to-head for title of the best? Let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to see you in the next one.